Welcome to class dear students. Last class I have explained about meaning of production function and meaning and application about the production function. Now we need to understand single variable law of variable proportion, two variable law of returns to scale and isocants and least cost combinations and all the things. I would like to recap you about the content what I have explained. So these are the learning objectives we have understood in the last class, and what are the fundamental questions manager has to answer by the help of the production function that we have understood in the last class, and the concept of production function, what is the production that we have understood in this slide. Okay, we have understood about what is production function, what is the mathematical relationship between input and output we have understood, and formula we have understood. Now we need to understand types of the production function. See, one thing we have understood in the earlier explanation, time is the most important element. See, when the producers are having a sufficient time, they can take any decisions in the production. If they do not have a time, even though the demand is there also, they can't accept the orders. This is what the problem we are facing, okay, as a producer. So based on the time, because time is deciding the production decisions, so based on the time, economist has made two types of the production function. One is short run production function and second one is the long run production function. The typical behavior of the inputs, based on the typical behavior of the inputs, they have called it short run production function is single variable law of variable proportion theory or single variable law of variable proportions. Based on the nature of the returns in the long run, the production function called it by the economics is that law of returns to scale. So what is this and how will be the in the short run production function and what will be the long run production function, that we need to understand. Single variable law of variable proportions. One thing I would like to tell you before going to the explanation of the single variable, why it is single variable, that I would like to tell you, and why it is applicable to short run. In the short run, every organization is having a chance to change only variable inputs. It is not possible to change the fixed inputs. So keeping in that in the mind, the single variable law of variable proportion has been set for the short period, because short period is not sufficient enough to make the changes in the fixed factors. So the reason this has been called it as a single variable or the law of variable proportion theory. It is also calling it as law of diminishing returns or the law of variable proportion. It is also calling it like that. Law of variable proportion is also known as the law proportionately and law of diminishing returns or short run production function. These are all the names are called it for the only one, what the single variable or the law of variable proportion theory. All these are the same. In the examination also might be you are getting one or other the different name, but don't get a confusion, this is all are the same here. Okay, then what exactly it is, that we need to understand by the help of one of the economist, Benham. Benham is giving the definition about the law of variable proportion theory. What he is saying, what is the exactly behavior here? See how when we are keeping one input is the constant and another input is the variable, then what exactly the behavior of the output, that has been explaining by the help of the law of variable proportion theory. He is saying that as the proportion of one factor in a combination of factors is increased, after a point first the marginal and then the average product of that factor will diminish. See, what he is trying to say is here is that when one factor is fixed and another factor is a variable, in that situation initially the production, the output will be increasing, output will be increasing in increasing trend, but one particular point, once it reaches the optimal level of the output, then first what it starts the diminishing in the marginal product, and then later it start diminishing in the average product also. Both the marginal and average product start diminishing once it reaches the optimum level of the output. Okay, that is what we need to understand here. Then we need to understand the statement of law, that one definition we have understood in the earlier slide, The furthermore clarification we can get it by the understanding the statement of law here. The law of variable proportion refers to the behavior of output as the quantity of one factor is increased, keeping the quantity of other factor is fixed, and further it states that the marginal product and average product will eventually decline. This law states three types of the productivity: an input factor, total average, marginal physical productivity. See, according to this statement, what we can understand? We can understand first one thing, what is that? There are two factors here, two inputs, one is capital and the labor here, but the one is the fixed factor and another one is the variable factor. Fixed factor will be fixed constant and variable factor is only increasing. When it is increasing in trend, it states that what is that? Initially the output will be increasing in trend, later marginal product starts declining, and later the average product starts declining eventually. This is what the law states. And the second, it also explains us about this can be explained, this law can be explained with the help of the total average and marginal product. So by using these three concepts, we can understand the law here. Okay, that is what we need to understand. Before going to understanding the law, we need to understand what are the assumptions this concept has. The first one is that the state the technology remains constant. See, in the short run, in the small period of time, it is even not possible to make the changes in the technology also. So this concept is also assuming that the technology is constant. There is no changes in or improvements in the technology. If there is improvements in the technology, the average and marginal productivity, instead of declining, it start increasing. So there is no changes in the technology here. The second is that only one factor of input is made variable and other factor is kept constant. Means fixed factor is constant here, only variable factor is made vary with the output level. And third assumption is that all the units of the law of variable factors are homogeneous in nature. Means one unit of the input and another unit of the inputs are the same in quantity and quality. There is no changes in the nature of the inputs. All the inputs are the homogeneous. This is what third assumption here. The fourth one is that law is only variable input and capital is remain constant. Okay. So I have told no two inputs, one is the labor and another one is the capital. Capital is here constant, labor is the vary with the output. So according to this law, these are the assumptions. Keeping in mind, we need to understand the